Welcome, everybody. My name is Tim, or UFO Man, and tonight we are interviewing one of our panelists that you see every week, Polly Rottermann. She is an experiencer, an investigative journalist, and also part of the Alien Hybrid program. So we're going to dig deep into that today, and we have some supporting evidence to show you. Also, I want to notify everyone that the original guest that we had slated for tonight, Dr. Michael Sala, has some medical issues that he's dealing with. He's in the hospital and he is deemed healthy enough to come back home eventually. So please send your prayers to his family and keep him in your thoughts and send good vibes his way. Thank you. Okay, Polly, welcome.
Thank you
It's
so much.
it's good to see you as a live stream guest this week instead of a contributor on the panel. So it's totally different for us to interview you, but it's going to be fun. So tonight, I want to ask you this. Can you start at the very beginning and let us know how you got involved with the phenomenon in the first place?
Hello, everyone. This is so weird being in the other side of the panel. Thank you so much. Yeah, well, I think since I was a little child, I am very empath. I feel everything very deep. And when I talk about everything, is everything nature, people, especially kids. Um, I have also feelings before things happen. And, I was born in Bogota, Colombia, year 76. I am the eldest of four sisters. And we had a beautiful house in Colombia. Um, I think my first experience happened. Um, I was really, yeah, I was really young, and my sister was sleeping in front of me, in a bed in front of me. We were sleeping, but when I was sleeping, I had this profound feeling like something was telling me, wake up, you need to wake up, you need to wake up. And so I woke up, I sat on my bed, and when I looked into my sister's bed, I saw a huge tarantula the size of a beetle car grabbing my sister from her bed and trying to take her out from the room. When I was sitting there looking at this situation, it was a shock. And I think that's the first time I felt what it is to be paralyzed. Many experiences talk about this paralyzing situation where you cannot talk or scream or move. You're petrified in front of this situation. And that was exactly the feeling. I
What
remember trying
what did the tarantula look like? What color was it?
black, totally black, and I could see the hairs and the legs moving and just trying to take my sister. And while I
Was
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 trying to
was
scream, like dad, I
was your
could not.
sister aware of what was happening, or did she appear to be
No,
unconscious?
no, she was totally sleeping. She was not aware of it. And I was watching the whole situation, trying to move. I was petrified. And when I tried to scream, like everything stopped. The tarantula disappeared. Everything came back to reality again. And this came after years when I was going to sleep, usually it was very scary for me because I used to feel things touching my body, my legs. So I used to cover all myself, top to my head. I didn't want to see what was going on in my room because I was feeling things were touching my body and I didn't know what was this craziness, no? So
In
when I
regards to the tarantula, you're well aware of the fact that I had the same thing happen, but I had it happen in broad daylight because I came out of my bedroom. I was probably about 4 or 5 years old, and I walked past my sister's bedroom doorway, and I saw a huge black tarantula type spider. I would say it was a good 4 feet across and maybe 3.5 feet, 4 feet tall. And it was sitting right inside the doorway, maybe 4 feet back. And I could see, like you said, the hairs on it. I could see the shiny casing on its back body, and I could see its eyes. And it scared me so much. I went back in my room and I screamed and screamed and screamed for my parents. They came
yeah,
upstairs, asked me what was going on. I said there was a spider inside my sister's bedroom that is huge. We went past the door, there was nothing there. It was gone. So in
exactly.
regards to what you're saying about it disappearing, it happened to me as well.
That's so interesting, you see, and that's why I love us experiencers talking about our experiences because that's how we can compare between us what happens and what kind of species we're dealing with and understand better ourselves and this phenomenon. After this tarantula experience, and I wasn't even 7 years old, but the feeling was not only the scary feeling, but how am I going to talk with my parents about this? I
Right,
wanted to find information, but what can I say to my parents? I thought already as a little child, either I'm crazy or this was my imagination, or maybe I was still dreaming. You are always trying to find a rational explanation for these kind of things. So I just grew up with this feeling that weird things happen to me, and I don't know not even how to explain them, but how can I prove whatever is going on in my room and with me? So there
right.
was this time when I was 7 years old that I came back from school. And this time, I'm awake. I just came back from school. I went to the third floor of my home. We had a beautiful library full of medical books. My parents, my mother is a nurse, and my father, rest in peace, was a pediatrician. And so, for some reason, I love to come back from school, go to that library, and I always picked one of those books. Biology for me was super interesting,
Hmm.
understanding our body from the inside out. I could not really understand the language. I was only 7 years old, but the pictures for me were everything. And so there was this day that, as every day I came back from school, I picked one of those books. But when I opened it, the first image was a black and white picture with what looked like a triangle formation, a triangle something with three dots in each corner. Now,
Hmm.
back then, I didn't see before something like that. So I didn't know what I was looking at. But the best way I can describe this is that the moment I saw the picture, something happened inside my brain and my environment. Time stopped and everything freezed. Like I could not hear my sisters or my grandmother talking. Bogota is a huge city. I could not hear the cars, like nothing. And suddenly I was petrified with the book in my hands because I started receiving what felt like a download. It's the best way I can describe it. When you see a computer running numbers. So try to imagine a little girl petrified with a book in her hands, and I was seeing inside my brain green numbers running through my brain. Those were series of zeros, ones, threes, and fives, kind of a Fibonacci frequency.
Kind of
And
reminds me of the Matrix
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
image on the movie where they showed cascading zeros and ones and fives.
exactly. That's exactly what I saw. And so I am seeing with the book in my hands, petrified. I cannot move, not scream, not nothing. And these green numbers running inside my head. So it's kind of the numbers were translated in images inside my head. And suddenly I could see that craft inside the book hovering outside planet Earth. And so I guess that's the first time I got a telepathic communication where I felt inside my chest a message that told me we don't live on planet Earth. You know, we live outside, but we come and visit you from time to time. This is not your technology. This is another kind of technology, another kind of
Right.
plane. This message was really simple for this little 7 years old to understand. And
Right.
I call that my awakening moment. When I
Okay.
when I saw the craft outside planet Earth, and after I got the telepathic message, everything stops exactly as it started. Times come back. I could hear the birds, my sister, my grandmother, and I am staying there, with the book in shock. I don't understand what happened. I needed a second. I just had a second to sit, to understand. I went through something really strong, petrified. What the hell is going on with me? And again, how am I going to explain this to my parents?
Were you able to understand what it was they were trying to communicate to you? And if so, how long did it take?
Well, that's the only message I got. Kind of, we are not alone. We live
Wow.
Yeah.
outside
Hmm.
planet Earth. We come to visit you. We have another kind of technology, and you are not alone. So I did not understand when I was 7 years old what that meant at all. I was not aware of aliens, Maybe just in the 80s, 90s, we started receiving in Colombia all the series from the States, the Final Battle, and Star Trek. And so I was already wondering, like, there are other people that know about this subject. We are getting the information through the movies or something. And back then we did not have internet. So my only way to start researching was through books. I thought it was related maybe to the Colombian mythology. I don't know, angels or ghosts. So I started buying books and reading
Well,
a lot.
one thing I have to say is Gene Roddenberry, the creator of Star Trek, was actually fed information by the government behind our government that's elected in regards to actual encounters with different type of races, so that when he scripted his episodes, they were based on fact. Well, for the most part,
Well,
not totally, but creative license aside, a lot of them were based on fact. I do have a question for you before we go any farther. Danny Staten, 5386, asked, has she ever discovered her clothes on backwards or inside out? Serious question, not a joke. I have. I've had that happen to me, but has it happened to you, Polly?
No, it hasn't. Great question. It happens. I know it happened to you, Tim. So, no, not in my case.
Okay. I just wanted to address that question because he's our first question from the chat room.
Thank you for your question. No, not in my case, but I know it happens. It's kind of, they don't really know how to put your clothes back, and you come back with your clothes upside down. So, great
mm,
question. It happens, but not in my case. No. Just because I think in my case, it's more like a trans-dimensional situation. Um, so no, not in my case. But I
But
guess what
but
happened,
but
yeah,
some trans-dimensional beings actually have a an incarnate physical presence. So they're you can touch them. They're solid. They're not necessarily a light being. So
true,
they can actually handle you and do things to us.
true.
Um, so that's what I wanted to add. But go on.
Yes, agree, agree. So I guess after the download, that touched me so much, and I guess that's the point where some of us can have these kind of experiences, some of us ignore it, and some of us take it as a research. And that is what I wanted to do, because I wanted to understand what happened with me. I felt I could not talk about it. No one was talking about this, not my parents, not my friends at school. So I thought I was either crazy or imagining things, and growing up like that is not funny because you don't really know what's going on. And my
oh,
sisters were,
very
were,
true.
were not having these kind of experiences.
Yeah,
So
finding people to talk with it without judgment is a really hard thing. Because I mean, nobody else is going to admit to it, or if they do, they're going to be like, "Yeah, well, it's just sleep paralysis or something." You're like, "But no, it's different than this," and nobody will hear you. It's crazy. I understand.
exactly, and especially because I don't have nothing to prove what's going on. So I thought, you know, or I was crazy, or I don't know. So I just needed to start researching, and that's what I did. Even when I was 7 years old, I was already looking for books and information, however I could find. And so I grew up with that feeling of loneliness with my experience.
That's
Um,
that's that's quite common because most children can't communicate what they're experiencing to adults because adults look at it in an adult viewpoint, which is,
exactly.
oh, it's all your imagination, or
Yeah.
you're making things up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
just to get attention. So
Exactly.
don't talk about it. That's basically
Exactly.
what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my sisters were not talking about it either. So it was so weird. So I decided to take this with myself, make the research with myself, and try to find out what is going on. So after I finished school, I started my BA in social communication and journalism. I guess it's also a part of
Mm.
kind of the drive of what took me also, part of the awakening process, because having
Right.
studied journalism, I knew, I have this research inside of me. And
Right.
so at some point, after I finished my BA, I felt a strong feeling that Colombia is not the place for me and that I need to leave. So I was born in a Jewish community in Bogota, and for some reason, I felt Israel is the place. I was never here before. I communicated this to my parents. They thought I was crazy. Like,
Mm.
what are you doing? You're going to the other side of the world and alone. And I've never been here before, but I felt this is the place. So in 1999, I left my family, I left everything, and I came to Israel.
Wow.
And actually, the second part of my experience started here because, first of all, in 2006, after having like 3 or 4 years of a very bad headache. There was a day that I decided to go to the ER because I felt I was going to faint because of the headache. And
Mm.
after they made a MRI, the doctor came to me and told me that I needed urgently in the next week 2 brain surgeries. I had 2 cysts inside my head that were pressuring inside my brain, and that was what causing the headache. Why I am telling this? Because in one of those surgeries, the cyst was located in my pituitary gland. So, for those that don't know, the pituitary gland is between your two eyes, behind your nose. The only way to get there, or in my case, was through my nose. And when they tried to extract that cyst from my nose, the whole thing exploded. And I almost died during the surgery. They
Wow.
saved my life, and the doctor, the neurosurgeon, then told me after the surgery what happened. And in a very private conversation, he told me that when he got to the cyst and he tried to extract the cyst, he saw inside that cyst what looked like a little metallic cube, um
I-
something
Implant.
cheap or something he could not explain. But he even told me, I don't even understand how that was in your brain or how that got there, but there was a metallic structure, a little tiny cube, millimeters, really super tiny, inside that cyst. And when they tried to take the cyst with the metallic thing that was inside, everything exploded. So, after the research and so many years researching all this phenomenon, I think that maybe what they found was an implant.
Yes. And
And
it tried to defend itself by exploding.
yes, it's kind of those implants make a like a symbiosis, they become a part of your body so
Yeah.
strong that the moment they try to take it out, everything exploded and I almost died there.
Yeah, they say that most implants are activated by our body temperature at 98.6. And that's exactly how they're activated, only at that temp. So it's most likely
Interesting.
what you had was
Mhm.
probably an implant. And for it to go up your nose, that's how most people who have total recall after an abduction say that they had an implant placed is through their nose or behind their left ear.
Mm.
Right, right.
I've heard this before.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So, and when he told me these, I wasn't still really aware of the implants. I thought about it, but I wasn't sure, I guess. With the years, I understand that those are confirmations for me more than coincidences. So,
Sarah can confirm about the nasal implant because she had something happen to her recently. What was that, Sarah?
A few weeks ago, right here on my nose, right. I feel like I got stabbed, like somebody pierced my nose. Now, I once pierced my nose over here, so I know what that feels like. But I woke up with that feeling, and it's like just on the inside there, right? And it just kept scabbing and scabbing and scabbing, scabbing, and then finally the scabbing has gone away. But it's really sensitive, and I don't know what happened, and I don't know. But
But when you woke up in the morning, you had blood from your wrist
oh,
all the way up your arm.
well, that was the other day. Yeah, that happened. I had it from here to here, and it smeared up my face right here, and then it's stopped now. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't feel like anything is even there. It's weird. So I don't know what all that was about, but it makes me wonder because
interesting.
She might have had it removed.
yeah. But I mean, the way the blood is, like when I'm sleeping, my nose doesn't touch way up here, so why it was smeared way up there, I really don't know. But it was
Yeah.
smeared on my face here too. But now the nose is fine, doesn't hurt one bit, and I kind of forgot about it.
Interesting. So, I have everything. I have the MRIs of both surgeries. You can see the cysts, but it's interesting that through the MRI they didn't see the implant if it was an implant. He only saw the implant when he was doing the surgery, when he
Right.
tried to extract it from my nose.
Right.
So thanks God I am alive. They
Yes.
saved my life during the surgery and everything is okay. Um, and then what happened is that in 2013, I was trying to get pregnant. And so I decided to get pregnant through a sperm donor.
Mhm.
And it wasn't easy for me. For some reason, all my tests look great, but I could not get pregnant. And um, amazingly, I started having what I call the second half of my experience. And this started happening again when I go to sleep. Um, It happened the first time. It was so weird because the feeling is like I go to sleep and I think I am able to get into some kind of frequency where I feel vacuum to another soil. And so I am aware that I went to sleep and suddenly I land into what looks like a Martian soil. It's like a red desert, a very red sand. The atmosphere don't look like planet Earth. It's a very rocky mountain situation. I feel lost. I don't understand how I got here. I was in my bed, all the vacuum filling situation. How did I land here? And so I start walking. I walk and walk, and suddenly I see very far away a figure coming towards me. When this figure approaches about 2 meters from me, I understand this is a little child. I am looking at a little boy that looks about 5 or 6 years old. That's exactly the boy. Now, if you look at this picture, you can see he looks totally humanoid, but his eyes, he had these huge black almond gray eyes. And when I saw this little boy, what's interesting is that I felt immediately a connection with him. Kind of, I wasn't a mother, but I felt inside of me that this boy is mine, that I need to take care of him and do everything for him to be okay. Um, I was really anguished, but through his touch, he suddenly extended his hand. He gave me his hand, and when I touched his hand, through his touch, and again, this telepathy feeling inside my chest, he was telling me, calm down, everything is okay, there is nothing to be afraid of. And I was asking questions. Who are you? Where am I? How did I get here? But none of my questions were answered. He was kind of guiding me somewhere. And so we started walking and walking, and I don't understand. I was thinking like in human terms. I need a shelter, I need water, we need, food. But this little boy felt totally like he knew exactly where he was and he was guiding me. And suddenly we saw in the middle of nowhere a tent. It looks like a biblical tent, a no matter tent, like four sticks, wooden sticks, and a fabric, a
So they
tent.
they, they probably
And
made it so it was familiar to you since nothing else was.
exactly,
Like a
so
screen memory.
exactly. And so what looked like a tent for 10 people, So I was happy. I said, oh my God, we found his family, and maybe I will find out what is going on. So this little boy opens the tent. And when we go inside, oh my God, I think that's the shock of my life because this is not a tent. This thing is inside is huge. This is a huge craft, so big that I cannot even see the end of it. So we go out inside, and in the left side, there is a cube structure with an entity sitting there. This entity communicates with me and tells me, "We are glad you are here because you are the only one that can help us and save us right now." And I was like, "What? Like, who are you guys? Like, how did I get here? What am I doing here?" I was losing it. I was really stressed. This little boy that picked me up in the desert takes my hand again. He calms me down again, telling me everything is okay. You don't need to worry. You don't need to be afraid. And he suddenly raises his other hand, and I finally can see where I am. We are talking about a huge room. This room looks like an ER room. I could see about 50 beds. In each one of those beds, there was a woman in labor. And next to those beds, there were little beds for babies that were already born. After I saw those beds, I look into the middle of the craft. I can see this light, very white, bright light coming from the ceiling. And in the middle of this bright light, there is a praying mantis standing there. The shock is huge. My brain was trying to make sense of this huge insectoid standing in front of me with the legs and the eye and the eyes, and but amazingly I did not feel scared or threatened. On the contrary, I was reassured that everything was going to be okay. Suddenly, the mantis looked straight into my eyes, and I could see through her eyes like 10 movies at the same time. A profound knowledge about universe creation and a profound knowledge about DNA. And then her message came. She looked straight into my eyes and told me, "Now is the time to do your job." And not knowing exactly what that meant, my instinct inside of me told me that all the information and knowledge I gathered when I was a little child reading and seeing all these books about biology and medicine, now it's the time to use that knowledge and go and help those women and babies. And so 1 second later, I started running, grabbing in my hands whatever I could, and I felt could help me with those pregnancies. And I started checking every single one of those women and babies. Not all of the women were in different stages of pregnancy, and the babies that were already born, all of them all of them had the same characteristic of the little boy that picked me up in the desert. They all look humanoids, but they all had those black almond grays eyes. Now, next to the beds, there were also gray aliens. Um, if you remember the pictures of Skinny Bob, I am
Yes.
talking about the little grays, not
Right.
the ones, the yeah, the little grays. They didn't communicate with me at all. They were um kind of we were working as a team, you know. The mantis, she was the boss. She was running the whole situation, telling everyone what to do. The grays didn't talk with me. If they knew I was there, they totally ignored me. They were concentrated on the women and the babies. um but we were all working as a team. They were doing their job, I was doing my job, checking the pregnancies, and especially, and I think this is another key point for me, my empathy was needed here. That empathy that I felt since I was a little child, my empathy was needed here for those babies. So I could actually take those babies, hybrids, in my hands and hug them and sing for them and kiss them and, give them, show them human love. I was questioning myself. um I was asking myself, like, I don't know what is going to happen with those babies. Are they going to feel what is human love? And I love kids so much. I understand kids souls kind of differently. So it was so important for me to hug them and love them and show them what is human love.
Right.
Yeah.
Those women, my feeling is that they were aware that they were in labor, but they were not aware of the fact that they were going through an hybridization program.
Mm.
Were they aware they were there?
It's like my feeling is that they thought they were like in a normal hospital,
Oh,
but
okay.
they were not aware that they were going through an hybridization program.
Well,
And
that's crazy.
after I check all the women and babies,
Hmm.
everything stops as it started. I am vacuumed back again into my bed.
So how
And
how how much time do you think passed while you were gone versus what had really passed?
well, it usually, like in my time, it's
Hmm.
about 2 hours. But there, everything feels so fast, you know? And when I come back, I always come back wet. My hair is wet. It's like someone took me from the shower to the bed. My pajama is everything is wet.
Ah,
And what's interesting is that this experience was happening. Remember that I was trying to get pregnant. This experience was happening every time during my ovulation cycles.
Makes
mm,
sense because a lot of women who have claimed to have been part of the hybrid program have had either a fetus um, put into them during an encounter in their home, and then 3 months later removed um, during the hybrid program.
Yeah.
And you think that that little boy with the big dark eyes was your hybrid child, correct? So you have a hybrid child out there right now in space,
I
or
don't have a confirmation for that, but my feeling when I saw that first boy in the desert is that that boy is mine. I love
And
that boy very much,
and when
deeply.
you
gotcha.
and when you held the others, you didn't feel that kind of connection with them, did you?
But because I have a huge connection with children in general.
Well, right, but it didn't feel like they were yours, is what I'm saying. Just the
Yes,
other one.
yes. Well, when I hold kids, I always feel like,
Yeah.
when my friends, my boys' friends, well, I behave like them, like they are my boys too. I am very motherhoodly,
You're maternal. Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
but
Yeah. I,
that boy that picked me up in the
There,
desert, you're right, he felt like he is mine.
see, there
Yes.
have been stories out there that the Greys um, bred out of themselves the ability to experience emotion.
Right.
So when they bring someone like yourself on board a craft and they have you share your empathic emotion with the children, they're trying to instill that back into them because it was bred out of them. So hopefully that will go a long way with interaction with humanity
wonder why it was
in the
bred out of them in
future.
the first place.
Exactly. I totally agree. We've been hearing a lot about kind of their evolution took from them this empathy that we as human beings can feel. And so our empathy in those places is very required, especially with those hybrid babies. I feel they want those hybrids to know what is human love for some reason. I totally agree. Yeah.
Burn Vision Truth Network 808 says they insert some of the children into other timelines. And that's understandable because there have been incidences where some of these grays have come back that are more humanoid rather than gray appearance that have said they've come from the future. And there's a storyline going around that a lot of people think that they are us in the future.
Right.
But I still have yet to verify that. That's purely speculation.
Yeah, I can see that though.
Um,
Yeah,
can
Mm.
can you
it's
tell us,
logical.
have you gotten any body marks?
Well, after one of those experiences in the desert during my ovulation cycles, and again, I was losing my pregnancies all the time. The tests look great. My body was ready to get pregnant, but for some reason, I was losing my pregnancies to the point that I even went through IVF to get pregnant. Finally, I made it in 2015. My boy was born. But in one of those experiences, when I came back from the desert, I felt so lost, because I didn't understand how this is happening all the time, every month.
Mm-hmm.
And I needed to have a coffee. So I just prepared a coffee, and suddenly I saw this mark on my leg. It looked like I was burned, printed on my leg with something that looks the best way to describe it is like a cat paw. And having some knowledge about medicine, I checked the rest of my body, wondering maybe if it was an allergy, but I didn't have even respiratory issues or other marks in my body. So if you look at it, it looks kind of a cat paw printed on my leg. No explanation for this. It took about 24 hours to disappear. So
But
after,
we have to say this because it's very important. Terry Lovelace, in another UFO researcher in the field, who has written a couple books about his abduction at Devil's Den, also received an implant inside his left knee that looks almost identical to her mark on the outside of her skin. And we do have
right,
a comparison photo, so here it is. You can see that there's a floret or flower type implant in his left knee, and then on the outside of her body, it almost looks the same. There are
Yeah,
some differences.
it's similar.
It is definitely similar.
I understand in Terry's case, this was kind of inside his body, kind of a calcification, maybe around an implant or something. In my case, the difference is that the mark was on my skin, like I was burnt printed with something. And the truth is that for me, it's kind of a confirmation because it's kind of they are telling me, you are not crazy. This is happening. This is your confirmation. And the truth is that I don't need neither no one to believe me. This is my experience. This is
You
what
know
I
what you know. You're good with that.
Exactly. This is what I saw. This is what I feel. This is what I saw in my body. Even I have the MRIs about the surgeries. So after I've been tracking what happened to me for so many years,
Hey,
for me,
Polly,
those are confirmations.
Lisa Savoy, 9148 says, Polly, I had marks on me like those as well. So there's somebody
Oh,
else.
Lisa, I'm so happy to see you. Please send me the pictures. I'm trying to find more experiences with the same mark so we
Right.
can compare if we've had the same species, contact or whatever. So please reach me out and we'll compare the pictures.
I've had some marks on me too. I've had like two triangle like puncture marks, right? And I don't know, I don't know anything that would do that, so that was weird. And I've had like three finger marks on my arms and my legs all at the same time, like I was held down. And pretty sure my mom and my brother were not in here holding me down at night because they'd be sleeping.
Yeah,
Me
that's
too.
so interesting.
I've had three finger marks on top of each one of my knees that looked like impact bruises, and they were deep purple. And I
And
woke
like
up with them.
and And then like a few months ago, I had like knuckle marks right here. Like somebody punched me, and it hurt really bad for like 2 weeks.
It
Nobody
hurt
punched me.
you.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I feel like I got punched like really hard, and it was like knuckle marks there. And I'm like, well, I don't know. Am I punching myself at night or what's happening here?
Interesting. The truth is that I had a new mark like a month ago. It looks like it's funny, but it looks like a yin yang mark. It's like a 69 upside down. There you go. Again, it's like I'm burnt printed with something. And it's interesting because I didn't had the desert experience for a while. I think it's because my frequencies are not the same. You know, I live in Israel and I've been at war and running from missiles for 2 years. So I am in a survival mode where I think my frequencies have changed, but still I got again that mark. I checked again on my body and it was not an allergy or something like that. But
So you're not being taken during your ovulation now?
well, I thought I wasn't till I got again that new mark. So something is still going on, but I feel I am less aware of it just because I am in a survival mood, in a
Right.
survival
That makes
mode,
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? So, but again, I think it's again a confirmation that this hasn't stopped. You have a new mark. This is still going on, but I am less aware just because I am in a war situation. So my
I noticed that locally you have actually photographed and videotaped objects.
Those are very
yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
So
I
what happens is that after the experience of the desert and after my boy was born, I started having my first sightings. And not only me, when my boy was born, and he was born in 2015. And as you can see, in 2023, my boy had his first sighting. And if you see the date, that's exactly his birthday.
wow.
His birthday date, yes. And that was a beautiful craft. I've never seen a gold. That golden color is so bright, beautiful. And when I asked my boy, "Do you see it?" He said, "Yes, mom, that's him, and that's them." And my boy being 11 years, he will be 11 years old next month, but he's got his profound knowledge about the phenomenon. He's been drawing um, things since he was in the kindergarten with aliens and machines and so weird stuff that even when he was 4, 5, 6, I was asking him, "Where do you have those ideas from?" Trying to understand. And his answers has always been like, "Well, mom, that's them doing their thing." Or he kind of knows, not only because he hears me talking about it, but he's got some understanding of the phenomenon too. And he's got his sightings. Sometimes he's the one calling me, telling me, "Mom, I just saw them and I got a picture."
Maybe
So
perhaps he's a hybrid
I don't know, maybe.
because
Maybe.
you're part of the hybrid program. He could have been a hybrid. I'm going to show a video that is your best video, in my opinion, that you shot, and here it is.
איפה הוא? איפה הוא נעלם?
מה?
מה, לא ראית את זה? לא. היה פה עוד אחד.
Yeah, it seems like both you and your son caught that. I can't hear you, Polly. You're muted.
There you go.
Sorry. Yes. That one, my boy didn't see it. It looked like a triangle something, and when I told him, like, did you see it? He said, no, I didn't. But we usually have our sightings together.
Okay,
And
well, I
yeah,
have a different clip.
Venga. איפה? למה אני לא רואה אותו? הנה הוא.
הנה, תצלמי, תצלמי.
הנה הוא, הנה הוא.
זה לא יברח שלי. איפה הוא?
הנה, הנה.
הנה, הנה, תצלמי הרבה הרבה. זהו. הנה. עכשיו. הנה, הנה.
אוקיי.
זהו.
So,
It flew off to the right, and then you lost it.
Mm.
You're muted.
It's a streamer on you feature. It does that sometimes. It's doing that to me a few weeks back.
yeah, I'm sorry. It was
Okay.
flying from right to left, and my boy saw it too. He was telling me, get it, there it is, there it is. And he went just behind a building, so I lost it. But it was beautiful. We totally enjoy when we can see them and feel them. It's a beautiful connection. So after all, I've been, after all the research and everything started when I was so young, and now I look everything as synchronicities. Nothing is a coincidence anymore. Even a month ago, I got another mark on my leg, and this is still happening. So I think what's important here for me is the message. My empathy message for everyone
Mm.
is really stay humane, love each other, support each other. This is the beauty of who we are, our feelings, our empathy. We are so unfortunately busy dividing ourselves, by
Yeah.
religions, by the color of your skin, by your sexual preference, by politics. No, we
And
need
we're
to make from this world a better world. Go back to our humane characteristic that make us so beautiful. That's the
yeah.
beauty of who we are, of human beings,
And we're
our differences.
we're
See?
definitely stronger together. That's for sure.
It
It's like
kind of makes you think,
mm,
what happened to our curiosity and our innocence when we were children
we were told to knock it off.
along the way, and when we grew up, we became jaded, and our egos took over, and our arrogance, and we became a more barbaric race. um, if we could just surpass our ego and work
Exactly.
as one unit for the benefit of mankind, I think we would ascend to a higher frequency and
I agree.
maybe be
Especially
able to
because
join.
my
Sorry.
feeling is that their message is that they don't want to interfere with our evolution, meaning we need to learn as human beings from our mistakes. We need to learn for good or for bad. They are watching on us. That's why we also see them hovering around nuclear bases and everything, but we are the ones that need to learn. And right now, we are not doing a great job. On the contrary, I think I've seen the worst things lately, especially in the last 2 years, and I want to change that. I want to call people back to our humane side, to love and support each other. And as experiencers, stand by your stories, stand by your experiences. There will always be people criticizing, and the stigma still is huge. But our voice is disclosure. We are disclosure from the inside out, and our stories are the real disclosure here. So be the light for each other, see the light in each other, love, support each other, and let's change these for the sake of our planet and the
Right.
future of our
Right.
kids.
And the future of our race. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to say this. Shelley Montgomery, 3489, said, I don't think they care what we do until it affects them. And there is some evidence supporting that, because when we fired off our first nuclear missile test in the United States, that's when UFOs started showing up en masse, because they wanted to see what was going on. What I almost think they were checking on what trouble we were causing, because it affected not just us, but I believe that the Hopi Indian tribe came out with the idea that the universe is connected by a spider web, and anything that affects something on one planet affects all of them, including
Yes.
interdimensional space. And science has said that some of the nuclear blasts on Earth have created radiation that has leaked into interdimensional space. So it is affecting everyone everywhere. So that's why they're
Exactly.
here. So, Shelley, you are correct.
Yeah, that's true. And I remember even David Adair talking once about the moon vibrating because something we did here on planet Earth. It affects everything. Everything we do here affects everything outside, interdimensionally, planetarily, like you name it.
Oh yeah,
We
Right.
we affect everything. So
cause
we
and
need
effect.
to be more conscious about ourselves, about our own healing, about the way we behave with people. The change is on us.
I do
So,
have a question. I want to backtrack a little bit and ask you something about the mantid.
yes,
Um, you had mentioned backstage that you felt the mantid was female.
yeah,
How did you come about that feeling?
great question. It's not like I saw her biological parts or something. Not at all. It's just a feeling. She was a female. She was a she. It was not. I don't feel it was a masculine figure. It was a
So,
feminine figure.
so she had maternal instincts that connected
Yes,
with yours.
yes, that's my feeling. Yes,
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. I hear tell that mantids are a benevolent race and that they are here to guide us and instruct us in ways of improving our way of life without interfering.
Yes,
And
that that's my
I've heard that.
the message, right?
Yes, I've heard that from several abductees that we've interviewed. Um, and you confirm that, correct?
Right. Agree. Yes.
Okay.
And I think another important thing for me back then, especially when I came to Israel, because when I came here, technology was more evolved. So we had here internet. I could start researching differently. That's when I found MUFON, and I heard also Bob Lazar talking for the first time. And when I understood that governments know about this, and we have reversed technology, and the public don't know about this for me was a bomb, critical, because not only we are going through these experiences, the governments were aware of it for years, and we've been lied for years. So I was not going to take that anymore. I needed to do all the research in order to understand not only the phenomenon but myself too. And that's why a main message from me is, again, stand by your experiences. You will always be criticized and whatever, but in the other hand, you will always find people inside our community ready to hear your story, hold hands, and let's move this forward, because we are the real disclosure here from the inside out.
Agreed.
Definitely agree. Yeah.
There is going to be there is a groundswell of a ground movement where people are exposing the abduction scenario uh, to the public and to the people in the government. They're not really addressing the issue of abductions. They're only addressing the nuts and bolts of the ships and the craft that are flying around. Um, so one day, hopefully, they'll open their minds to the reality of all the people that are professionals, credible people like yourself that have been taken and manipulated by these beings for purposes of their own um, extension of life. And perhaps we can reach a new era where people understand that we are not alone in the universe based on testimonies from experiencers such as yourself, myself, and Sarah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I pray someday we will be the ones to get into the Congress and give our experiences, to the world. But I don't think the government will allow it. I don't think they are ready for all the experiences. So that's why it's so important for us to share,
Well,
pair, and support each other.
See, the problem with the government is they're looking for solid chain of data evidence.
Right,
So if you don't have like even a photograph can be faked nowadays. Even
yeah.
a video can be faked because of AI. So
right.
what I'm saying is to you, even if you had those, it wouldn't convince a government official to think that what you're telling them is truth.
But then also too, you got to think how many of it is the government themselves who are taking their own people and treating them just as, like, say, the aliens would, right? Because they have their own agendas too. That kind of stuff's been happening, forever, right? Governments do
Right.
that, so they would have to admit their own actions too, and they can't have that. So
Well,
they just say it's all
our
not real.
Sarah's correct because there are reports of human beings working on board craft outside of yourself working on board that craft uh,
Mhm.
to help in abductions that
And
are
that's
times.
interesting that you mention it now, because now that you mention it, inside the craft, when I was in the desert, I could see two floors. The second floor, all around, were like black smoked windows. You know, when you are in a surgery room in a ER and the doctors have in the second floor like a
Yeah.
place where they can stare at the surgery,
Hmm.
that was my feeling. Someone, or go figure what was there, was watching whatever was going on in the ER down there where I was taking care of the woman and
Yeah.
babies. I don't know if there were humans or other alien species, but it was also like an observatory from the second floor. That's my feeling.
Very amazing.
Yeah.
We want to thank you for your testimony tonight, Polly. You
Very
filled
good.
in greatly for the fact that
Mhm.
Dr. Michael Sala was out for the count. Like
Yeah.
I
Hope he gets
said,
better fast.
we wish Dr. Michael Sala a speedy recovery,
Yes.
and we wish that he will come back on our channel sometime in March. So we're going to give him time to recuperate, and then we'll get a hold of him again and try to bring him on so that we can talk about what we are going to address with him.
Yeah.
So I hope everybody who participated online enjoyed our conversation with Polly this evening. I hope everybody who participated in the chat uh, got their questions answered. And we want to wish everybody a good night, and we'll see you next time on the 31st. We're going to be interviewing a lady from Germany that Polly turned us on to.
Oh, don't miss it. That will be a beautiful interview.
Look forward to that.
She is going to also be talking about the hybrid program, and she's up there in age, so she has a lifetime of experiences. So I hope you can join us, and we'll see you next time. Good night from the panel.
Good night.
Love you. Thank you.